Have you ever been on this weight loss journey, getting down, pounds coming off every week? If you get on the scale, another pound off, and then all of a sudden it happens where you used to be 3 pounds lighter, now it's only 2 pounds. Next week, instead of 2 pounds, it's only 1 pound. And then all of a sudden, you're at the same place for 2, maybe even 3 weeks. What do you do with that weight loss plateau? Yvette, has that ever happened to you?
It definitely has. And it's devastating when you do everything. It's working like clockwork. And every week you get these great results. Measurements are going down and the scale goes down. And then you hit this great plateau. And unfortunately, even for us, what do? We all go look at Mr. Google, MD Google, go search all of this because there's got to be something you're doing wrong. And instead of pushing through this, we go and we listen. And Johann, that is when we find all this advice that is so contradictory, it can set us off course. And you had a look at a couple of those, and what did you find?
My goodness, I was so upset because in one of our previous podcasts, we talked about that it's not your fault. But because of this old-fashioned story of calories in, calories out, it's such a bunch of baloney. And probably out of 10 videos, 9 of them would put the blame back on the person on the journey, saying, you're not moving enough, you're not watching your calories, you are not eating what you should be eating, or not eating what you should not be eating. And it puts the blame fully back on the person trying to lose the weight. And we've both found that that is not true. The single video that I found where there was actually somebody made some sense was from this girl who said, remember, your body is a dynamic homeostasis. Finally, it was a short and not a full video. I would love to have seen an hour of that, but it was only a few minutes.
And this is where we want to elaborate. When we say you hit a weight loss plateau, these people that are going, oh, you're not exercising enough, you're not eating the right food, go check. Oh, we've gone past that. We are talking about the person who week for week, you're doing the right thing, you're logging everything, you're going according to this way of life that you're going to be changing to. But then things happen. So I agree with you. We've gone past the point of blaming the person because we dealt with that, we fixed all of that, but what now? And this is where sometimes you want to have for yourself, for both you and I, this has happened to us, you want to have a bit of an understanding of, why is my body doing this?
100%. Because I think if you understand how your body works, then when these weight loss plateaus happen, you know how to deal with it. You know what's going on with your body. And 9 out of 10 times, it is not you. You just need to maybe now take a step back and evaluate. Some people, because if it is your fault, you'll know. Because that's the first thing. If you don't lose weight week after week and you have not been doing the right things, you'll know.
Yes.
You don't have to, it's not rocket science. You don't have to go and investigate on where you did wrong. You'll know. But we're talking about those people, like Yvette said, you were doing the exact right things. You were working out how you should. You ate what you should eat. And you did not eat the things you should not eat. And now all of a sudden, nothing happens. But one of the things that you should also know is we talked about dynamic homeostasis, because there is a thing about energy balance, but there's also this thing about the biochemical messengers and things that your body makes that's also in a balance. That is what homeostasis is, because if it's too much of one thing, it'll try to counterbalance it with something else. And once your body is in balance, it tries to, with all its might, to keep that balance. And remember, you have now just been losing weight. and your body starts saying, hang on, where is all this energy going? So it is going to give you a stall until it sets a new baseline. But Yvette, we've talked about this in the past where we think, a weight loss plateau is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, that's where the visual weight loss is not linear. You and I cannot predict that for the next 12 months, I'm going to lose 1 pound a week. You cannot predict that because, like you said, we have a dynamic homeostasis with our bodies. Things can happen, stressful, being sick, situations, surroundings, things we've spoken about. So it's not linear. So you have to get that into your mind to realize this is going to be something that you go day by day.
Day by day, for sure. And one day is not going to be the same as the next. And especially if you can still be doing all the right things, but experience some work stress, some family stress, somebody died. And just that little bit of stress, even though you're doing all the right things, can cause your body to stall for a bit. Because your hormones will tell you, oh, we need to preserve now because something's going on and we don't exactly know what it is.
And with regards to what you were saying on the baseline, I want people to understand that a weight plateau, a stall, is actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Don't think about this as, this is the end of the world. But that reset of the baseline. Now, let's make an example. You have weighed 300 pounds your entire life. So your body is used to 300 pounds. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't go up, go down. It stays at 300. Now you've approached the journey where you decided to change your entire lifestyle and it's dropping weight and you're losing weight and you get to 250 pounds and there's a weight stall. Think about it. It's kind of your body, what you were saying, adjusting and going, oh, hang on, this is the new normal. This is not my end product, but this is my new normal. And then we will give you a couple of, tools and hints or so how to get through that. But then you start going down again. And all of a sudden you get to 200 and you have this weight stall again or a plateau. But this again is the body going, oh, this is my new normal. So that is why I don't know about you, but I've known people who have weighed the exact same since high school. They've never really gained much. They've never really lost much. And for those people, their bodies, that perfect dynamic homeostasis is working.
Yeah, for sure.
This is where we ultimately want you to get. So that if you do go on that binge, maybe something happens down the drag, your body goes, no, I don't want that. Let's get back to the baseline. So in a nutshell, to have a weight stall or a plateau is a good thing.
Yes. And I would always suggest once you hit that plateau or that stall, it's a good time to reflect, reevaluate. Look at everything that you've been doing up to now. Look at the types of food. I will never talk about the amounts of food because I don't think the amount of food really matters that much. But the type of foods that you're eating. Look especially at the things that is not related to food that you're doing. How is your exercise? How is your sleep? And if your sleep is lacking, that can also be a cause of a weight stall. But try to fine-tune some of those things because be comfortable with this plateau being at least 4 weeks. Be comfortable with that. Say, okay, this is going to happen. This is what my body is doing right now. So let me reevaluate everything that I have been doing. And if you evaluate and they're all good for you. You've spent the time to evaluate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see if you just keep on the path out of nowhere, all of a sudden you're going to lose another pound and then lose another one. And then the trajectory will continue.
I can give you a good example. I was just thinking of one of the weight stalls or plateaus that I had. And I love what you're saying. It doesn't really matter about how much, but it does start becoming evident of when you eat. And
Yes.
I found that out with regards to, for example, heavy whipping cream in coffee. So for a long time, did everything right, went on the journey, but I really did cutting back on the coffees and the creamers, that was an easy thing. But every now and then to have the coffee with just the heavy whipping cream, that became a daily staple. But it hit me like a ton of bricks one day when the stall stayed week after week after week, looking at everything, evaluating everything, and I realized, okay, hang on. If I do the coffee with a heavy whipping cream at 9 o'clock in the morning, there's a weight stall. If I take that and I have the coffee with a heavy whipping cream after my first meal of the day, which could be maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in my eating window, the weight went down. So that is a good example of, it's not how much, it's not what, it was literally changing the time of day and putting it all in the eating window, which really helped me. So those are the little things, like you say, reflect, go back to your journal. When are you eating what? What order are you eating? And this is also, maybe it could be something that you're getting to the point where you realize, listen, I'm a little bit more sensitive to dairies than what I thought I was, or stuff like that, that you were incorporating that you actually should have cut out already. But I think that's a really good way to be able to listen to your body, to see, okay, I make these small little changes and wow, look what happens.
That's right. And like you talk about the sensitivities, if you might find out that you're sensitive to something, and that's not even a true allergy, just sensitive. And that sensitivity can cause a very low grade of inflammation that is also going to hold on to the weight. So that is another thing to keep in mind. And so if you're in that stall and after I eat pork, I've all of a sudden I've got phlegm. Well, maybe you should not eat pork. Maybe you should figure out, okay, maybe let's try and cut that out and see how it goes from there. Because sometimes that little sensitivities, it's like I say, not even a true allergy. You're not going to go get an antihistamine for it, but it's just a sensitivity where your body, the enzymes to break those down is not that fully developed. And now you hold on to that weight. It's just something that is a very important thing that you mentioned, Yvette. And also, I want to say, if, from things that you eat, when you're stuck in this cycle, something that I found useful that worked for me was to jumpstart my system with a fast. And I love fasting. I think it's a great tool to have for multiple reasons. To jumpstart your weight loss journey, and if you're in a plateau, to get it going again. But don't think if you have not lost any weight for a week or two, that's the time for a fast. I would say if it's going on for 4 weeks or more, that's the time.
Yes, definitely. And also, just to add on to what you say, I remember we've had people in a different of our, I don't like to call them programs, but different in our journeys that we have with them and transformations, when they have said, oh, but when I eat pork or when I eat turkey or I don't feel well. This is one thing you and I always used to say, well, we love to teach you to listen to your body. So if you don't feel well when you eat that, please don't. And that's
Yes,
as simple as that. Because the old days of on the news, it says, when I drink 1 glass of wine every night, no, we're not following that. We are teaching you to listen to your body so that you eat what's good for you. Johann might feel wonderful eating pork belly. I might not. It doesn't mean that we have to. This is not we wrote this out and this is how you eat. This is you learning and teaching your body again to do what it should be doing before it was taken over and completely hijacked by everything else in the social media. So again, what you said there were the 4 weeks. Yes. Once you've done things right for 4 weeks and you're getting no results, that's when you start going, okay, hang on, maybe I should just fast a little bit. But we also recommend good, healthy fasting.
yes, no
If you're
doubt.
not feeling well, if you're sick in this period, then don't do it. Don't be silly.
Yeah, if you're sick, that's not the time to fast. Absolutely not. Because if you're sick, it means your body needs building blocks. Now, and we've spoken about this before, eat the building blocks, not the comfort foods. Don't
And there
eat
are
those
times when you're
things.
sick that we do recommend you fast, yes. But we're
Yeah,
talking like if you're going through a period of not feeling well and you're not sure, be sensible before you start with a fasting and do it the right way. But it has absolutely amazing results.
definitely. And talking about the homeostasis, and also again your body, if you don't lose weight, I want to talk a little bit about electrolytes, Yvette,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because we talk about the homeostasis, and the homeostasis of your electrolytes in your body is probably one of the biggest things. And the first thing, if you go to high school and you have a science class and they teach you about homeostasis, salt is the first thing that comes up. So if you eat salt, are you going to gain weight or lose weight?
Depends on which school you go to.
Yes.
I mean, salt is not evil. It's like all minerals, they get demonized for the wrong reasons, but if you don't have them, then your body can't do what it's supposed to do. And that's when you sit with these problems.
Yes. And talking about the dynamic homeostasis, salt is then something that balances homeostasis. Water is another thing, because if you get dehydrated, your body is going to pull water from tissues, which is a really bad situation. But it's not only water and it's not only energy. Your whole body is in balance with one system with another. If your thyroid, you can't just treat a thyroid thinking that the other systems in your body is not going to be affected. You can't treat your kidney thinking that the other systems in your body is not going to be affected. So with that said, that is why me and Yvette are in the functional medicine space, because we want to treat the whole body, because we've realized this there's many ways to be sick,
Mm-hmm.
but there's only one way to be healthy. And your metabolism is such an amazing mechanism that can keep most of your systems in complete balance in order to keep you healthy. So if you optimize your metabolism, you're naturally going to lose weight. And these weight loss plateaus won't be such a big deal for you.
And we are very strong supporters of the fact that if you give the body the right nutrients, it'll heal and it will do what it's supposed to do. Now, a lot of people will be our age and older coming to us and saying, okay, we need help. Now, you must also keep in mind you've had quite a few years of damage that you've done to your body. So, yes, are there points where you're going to need certain supplementation? Are there certain areas it's going to need to be boosted? That is part of what we do to kind of look and see, okay, this guy needs a little bit more magnesium, but maybe that one needs iodine. So it's all personally kind of geared towards you. Ultimately, in a perfect world, none of us need that. But because we come from different backgrounds, that's when we start needing it and can impact you. And the reason I bring that up is because I always get so frustrated when people throw the big reason why they have a weight plateau is their thyroid. The thyroid's not working. People have blamed the thyroid far too long for everything it does versus everything that you've done wrong. So yes, it does play a role, but not half as big as what has it been blamed for. As well as if you give it the right nutrients, your thyroid can actually do what it's supposed to do. And that does not mean thyroid hormone. I'm talking
Yeah.
about building blocks for your thyroid.
I want to, now that you mentioned the thyroid, I want to go down a little rabbit hole. Because just this week, I had somebody come in saying, my child's thyroid is totally out of whack. The TSH is so high. And immediately, my first question was, so what about the free thyroid hormone, and did they test the antibodies?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, what is free thyroid? So the doctor only tested the TSH and decided from this TSH, we're going to put this child, 14 years old, on this massive dose of thyroid hormone. I thought, that does not even make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Why would you do that? I mean, the TSH is not a good predictor of what your real thyroid, what's going on in your thyroid. I would say better to get a free 3 and T4 and also order antibodies.
Body. And you know, maybe the guy's right. Maybe he's had tons of experience. We're not arguing that. But the fact of the matter is, if at that age you'd make a judgment and a decision for a prescription from that one reading, it really concerns me, because if you and I both know that if that reading of the thyroid medicine is too high, down the line, you can have cardiovascular issues. They can start having problems with their eyes. And, you know, the heart things are irreversible.
Yes.
Why would you do that? 14 years old? No, it does really, you know, it's shocking when with one reading you can make such a decision that can ultimately change somebody's life down the line. And this kid's 14 years old.
Yeah.
I would run away.
That was definitely shocking to me. And again, like you said, the thyroid hormone, they add all this thyroid hormone, the rest of the systems in the body now is interacting with this higher thyroid hormone, and they say, oh, we need to change things up. So now the heart starts racing. Maybe you have AFib. Maybe there's something wrong with your heart. No, it's not something wrong with your heart. It's just you've got too much thyroid hormone.
Well, that's a perfect example of what we're trying to portray for people to understand, that each organ doesn't work in its own little capsule. It's a whole unit. It's a body. And when I've always said it's like a scale. So if you have this scale and you put a lot of weight on the one side, the other side's going to go up. But the body's constantly wanting to do this. But by trying to do that, it's got to, somewhere else, it's got to give to bring that into equilibrium. So when we speak about this equilibrium in the body, you're not just talking about only the thyroid. It affects the heart, the kidneys. Only the kidneys. No, that can affect the lungs and the heart. And, you know, so people need to see the bigger picture of these things and not just blame one system as such, because it's a whole complete unit that works together that creates not just energy, but also, you know, there's keeping us warm, creating all these hormones, giving us emotions. The body it's intricate. And when you start messing with just one, you're going to specific area, you're going to get some downfall in another area. The reason why I bring this up with a weight plateau is that so many people who do blame their thyroid, and then they start going on all sorts of thyroid medications and things and end up down the road with worse things. That's not where to go. I mean, like Johann said, do the right testing, first of all, to see if it really is that. Yes, maybe it does need some help. Maybe you just need to supplement with some iodine so that your body has enough to make what it needs.
I was just thinking, and what we do is we help people reset their metabolisms. And it started out with a condition with what's called metabolic syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about metabolic syndrome, what are the 5 signs? The waistline is one. So, okay, now you're going to treat obesity. And what do they do when they treat obesity? They just throw these appetite suppressants to people. I get so frustrated with these weight loss doctors who give phentermine, topiramate, and bupropion. That's their trilogy. So antidepressant, so you don't feel so bad about your weight. Phentermine, so you can get hooked and come back month after month for a new prescription. And the topiramate, so you can not be that's going to affect your concentration and your focus, so you can focus on your weight. So frankly, you might not lose any weight, but you'll be fine. You'll feel okay.
You're going to feel wonderful.
Yeah. The other thing that it affects is high blood pressure. Now, what did we say about blood pressure? We talked about salt. We talked about magnesium. Many times blood pressure is just your minerals being out of whack. So that's one system. So you've got metabolic syndrome, but your blood pressure is high. So let's give you a beta blocker or an ACE inhibitor. That's going to affect your kidneys. That's going to make your blood pressure higher. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. So the one thing that you give affects the others and vice versa. And then you've got the fact with relation to the cholesterols, the triglycerides, the high triglycerides is one, and then the low HDL and the high LDL. So again, this fascinates me. You're going to give somebody a statin drug for that one system. But one of the within 5 years side effect of statin drug is diabetes.
Yes.
So we're going to go back there again.
Yeah, and the diabetes is actually that the statins cause is actually a type 2 diabetes. It's not a type 1 where it's an autoimmune where your beta cells get attacked. You get insulin resistant, and now your weight loss plateau is not going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Because the more insulin you have, the more fat you're going to store. That's just the long and the short of it.
And that's why when you get into those kind of stores, when you get into those plateaus, the fasting and knowing when and how to do it is essential. That'll also then it gives the body like a bit of a kickstart, like, okay. And that's where you and I will also come in and have a look and say, okay, things have changed. Do you need this? Do you need that? Supplement, help the body to do what the functions it needs to be done. But it's really, I want to encourage people that when you do have a weight stall, again, it's not a bad thing. Don't go beat yourself up, but definitely reflect on what you've done, what it is that works for you. Look at your current medications. There's so many things to look at and evaluate before you just decide, oh, this is not working for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that evaluation, that reflection, I feel is really important to go forward and not beat yourself up saying, oh, I must be eating my sleep.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Your body has its ways, and sometimes it just happens.
Well, this makes me think of a question I saw the other day. When you said earlier on about when you do that evaluation and you've done something wrong, you are the first one to know that. And I had somebody on social media was posting a question, how do you tell somebody else that they're fat? And I'm like, you don't, because do you honestly think people that are overweight or obese or fat, they don't know? Do you think they're stupid? Are you the only one that's wise enough to look and go, oh, Bob is really fat? I'm sure Bob knows it. So it just blew my mind because it's the same thing as if I'm having a weight stall. In fact, if I have a weight gain, then I definitely know I've got to go reflect on myself.
And believe me, somebody who's overweight, they tell themselves that over and over and over and over and over again. They don't need to hear it from you.
No, definitely not. So if you ever want to be that Susie that wants to go tell Bob that he's fat, please don't. He knows.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a very popular common question that comes up. You and I both asked that when there were weight stalls. What is going on? Trying to get behind it. Your hormones. I mean, even your ghrelin that goes in your stomach that goes, grrr, I'm hungry now. That has to change. Even the leptin that has to signal the body, okay, we've stored enough now. All of that has to change because your entire body, the amount of food you're eating, the fat you're burning, all of that is changing. So in a way, like I always say, give your body a bit of grace.
Yes.
Give it some time, get to the new normal, and then you can move on.
Yes, and allow your body to reset that new baseline. Say, okay, we've lost 50 pounds now, so let's wait. Let's get the baseline for all the hormones and all the energy consumption and all of that. And then go again, try again, start with that fast, do something to move it forward.
Because it is a journey, ultimately. It's not a program. It's not we're going to hit these marks. It's an absolute journey so you can live your life continuously, going on vacation, going through good and bad times, ups and downs, but still being able to sustain and maintain a healthy you. That's what we ultimately want.
100%. Well, Yvette, I know this was a short one.
This was,
but I think it's
good.
an important one. And if you're in that weight loss plateau right now, don't get discouraged. Give yourself some grace. Give your body some grace. Just don't get off the path. And once your body is set, the new baseline is set, get it started again. And if you need help, contact me and Yvette, and we'll be glad to help you.
And if there's one little message I want to leave with you is part of a weight plateau is also to break the way you used to think about things. Think about it differently, approach it differently, and you'll get different results. Ultimately, if we do the same thing over and over, you know what we get. So let's do it this time. Let's do it differently and think about it in a different way. It was
Yes,
really
100.
great, to discuss this. If you need to reach out to us, we've got our links in the bottom. Check up on the calendar. We'd love to help you.
Yeah, for sure. Take care, everyone. See you in the next one.
Thanks, Johann. Bye-bye.
Bye. Views and opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and are intended for educational and informational purpose only. This podcast does not provide medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The information shared should not be used as a substitute for professional medical advice from your personal health care provider. Always consult your physician, pharmacist, or qualified health professional before making any changes to medications, supplements, or health regimens. We are also promoters of Neolife nutritionals, beauty, and household products, and this stems from our knowledge of their purity and the company's reputation to provide products of outstanding quality. While we may discuss our experiences in the retail pharmacy setting and share insights into functional medicine, our conversations reflect our professional perspectives and personal opinions, and not those of our employers, affiliated organizations, or licensing boards. By listening to From Pills to Purpose podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and agree that the host and guests are not liable for any outcomes resulting from the use of the information discussed in this podcast.